Hello, good evening. It's Tuesday. It can only be one thing. It is time for our weekly therapy session, Arsenal therapy session in the Tuesday clinic. Always needs to get stuff off our chest. It's been a slightly better week for Arsenal, actually, for a change. We haven't lost the game this week, which is nice. First time for quite a long time. So we need to enjoy the moment while we can. But there's still a lot to talk about, obviously, with Arsenal as there usually is. So a lot to get through. It's not just going to be me; it's going to be the panel as well. Unfortunately, we're missing Adam tonight. He's not feeling that well, so we wish him better. But we have still got a great show lined up for you. The other side of this. So we have got the panel are here. I say, unfortunately, Adam's not here tonight. We don't seem to be able to get a full house any week at the minute for one reason or another, but I'm sure we will eventually at some stage. It's good to have Dorsey back anyway. He's been busy the last few weeks, so it's great to have Dorsey back. And of course, Melvyn, as always. Are you okay, Melvyn?
Yeah, good, thank you. Everything's fine. A bit happier, as you say.
Yeah, it's been a slightly better week, hasn't it? Which is good. And Dorsey, are you okay? I know you've been quite busy, haven't you, the last few weeks, moving and stuff. Is it all going okay?
Settling in, mate. Yeah, just trying to get stuff sorted, but slowly but surely we're getting there. So it feels a bit more like home now, which is good.
Good, excellent. That's what we like to hear. Fantastic. I know what it's like moving. It's a pain, but when you get sorted, it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It's all good. I'd say it's been a good week for Arsenal. Well, a good week in relatively speaking in terms of what weeks have gone before it. So we need to enjoy that. So we've got a lot to talk about. We will get cracking. Just when I find the right button to press, which at the minute I don't know where it's gone. I've got a nice new button to press. I don't know where it is, and it's quite. Here it is. Yeah, this is actually quite appropriate this week. I've been waiting to play this, and I can finally get to do it now. And actually was 1-0 to the Arsenal. So that actually is for the first time it's been right. As far as I can understand, I was looking back at some stats. I think that's only the second time at home we've won 1-0 under Mikel Arteta, actually. And when you think back that 1-0 to the Arsenal was one of the most famous scores, it's very rare that we do win 1-0. And obviously we did manage to do that on Saturday. Maybe a few people might have expected a little bit of a bigger victory. I know you were at the game, Melvyn. What was it like actually at the stadium then? Because the atmosphere seemed quite good, considering we maybe struggled to break them down, didn't we, for a long time?
Yeah, the atmosphere was good. It wasn't like playing Man United or Spurs, but the atmosphere was very, very good. And then obviously as the game wore on a little bit, the first 20 minutes it was quite exciting, and then as things went on a bit and Norwich came into the game a bit more, you could feel the tension around the ground, But the fans were behind them, which was brilliant. I think that the fans were very supportive until they may not have been supportive if a couple of things might have happened. They got quite close a couple of times, Norwich, like all teams seem to do against us, whoever they are. Yeah. But no, the fans were good. Everyone left with a smile. And I said after the game, basically, it was a bottom line job, 3 points. That's all really that mattered. Yeah. That day. We'll have to build on that. I'd have rather that than played wonderfully well and been very unlucky and got beat 1-0. So I took that. There were some positives for the game we'll talk about later, I thought, but the atmosphere was good. It was actually very good.
Yeah, it certainly came across that way. It did seem like the fans stayed behind the team, where I was a bit worried that if we didn't score early and the longer it stayed 0-0, or even if Norwich had got a goal, that the fans might have turned, but it was good that they didn't. And I think we're going to need, especially when, we've been struggling a bit, you need the fans with you, don't you? And I think that made a big difference in the end, and maybe that helped get us over the line. Not the most convincing of performance, as we know, but like you said, Melvyn, you did right. That game was one we just simply had to win. No other result was going to be acceptable, was it? So it was so important that we won. I mean, what did you make of it, Dorsey, in the performance? Because as Melvyn said, there were good bits and bad bits, really, wasn't there? But ultimately, we won the game, and I suppose we need to just sort of focus on that side of it, really, don't we?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously it was a 3 o'clock kickoff, so it wasn't live. So I only really caught the extended highlights. But I mean, from what I saw, I mean, it was, like Melvyn said, they had a period in the game where a couple of things on another day might have gone against us. But I think, listen, we've all three of us have said it. We just had to win that game. The performance really was secondary to a certain degree. Obviously, you want to see us play well, but we just had to get those first 3 points on the board. I think over getting the goal, I think that's going to do him a world of good. Hopefully, gives him something to build on. Gives him a bit of a kick. But what was it? I read a stat. I think it was yesterday. I think was it 30 attempts on goal?
Yeah,
something like that. So so it was only the second time, or that it's the highest since 2017 against Man United or something. I think it was. So, bit frustrating that you've got that amount of kind of not necessarily chances, but you have that many attempts on goal, and you can only kind of muster a. Let's be honest, it was a bit of a lucky goal. It broke for us, and kind of Oba was there to tuck it away.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's still on, but it's still a long way to go before I'm confident watching us play. But it was nice to keep a clean sheet as well. 1-0 to the Arsenal can only ever be positive.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we always like a good 1-0, don't we? And so we've not had many of them under Mikel Arteta, funnily enough. Despite the fact that we tend to play quite a sort of negative football quite a lot of the time, you'd imagine we'd have had quite a few 1-0 wins, but we don't seem to manage to get them. Probably because we can't keep enough clean sheets. I guess that's probably the reason.
We can't score goals.
We either don't score at all, or we score 2 or 3, don't we? They seem to come along at once. But I mean, it was good. It was good that we've, sometimes the scrappy 1-0 wins are what you need. The more of those you get in a season, that's how the successful teams are successful, aren't they? Because you don't always play well, but you need to find a way to win. And we found a way to win that game, and we should have won it because it was Norwich at home. But and like you said, it's a kickstart for the season, hopefully, and we can push on. As Shane says in the chat, exactly that. He says, good evening, lads. 3 points at the weekend, not a perfect performance, but so we won, and hopefully a starting point. We had to get a win somewhere. The first win had to be somewhere, and we had to be that game, and it was. But James was in the chat as well. He says, hi all, and he says the ladies won 4-0. Yeah, they did. They did well again. The Arsenal women at the weekend are going well this season, playing some good football as well. And Regina says, the more chance you make, the more likely to score. No, exactly, but it shouldn't take 30 chances to score 1 goal, though, should it? If you have 30 chances, you want to be scoring 3 or 4, don't you, really, on that ratio? Because we're not going to create 30 chances every game, are we? If it's going to take that many to score 1 goal, we're going to struggle to score, aren't we? Because we're never going to create every game. I was amazed when I saw that, Melvyn. 30 shots. Were you? I mean, you was at the game. Did you see 30?
Because I don't remember more than 1 or 2 being on target. How many were on target?
I think
5 or 6.
I think it was supposed to be 5 or 6 is what.
As much as that, I'm surprised. I can't recall them off the top of my head, I must admit.
Well, there was about 4 in the lead up to the goal, wasn't it? In the post, in the goalkeeper, in the post, and in the goal. So that was like 4 chances.
I was with my son and his friend, and we cheered like mad when we thought we'd scored. We were going mad, and then we heard another cheer. What was that for? A louder one. It was the actual goal. Because where we were sitting, it looked like it went in. So we're going mad, but it hadn't hit the post. It hit the other post. It was a bit short. And also, what was a bit strange, I don't know if you noticed it, that they had a VAR check, didn't they?
Yeah.
Did they show it on television as a VAR check?
No, they just showed a few replays. No, they didn't show like live or anything like that.
Normally at the ground they say it's VAR and it comes up in that mauve horrible.
Yeah, they didn't have that.
No, we're just sitting there going, is it a goal or ain't it a goal?
Oh, well then I don't know. I mean, all I saw was obviously the Norwich players were speaking to the referee. Yeah. He was sort of saying, he was pointing to his earpiece to say, hang on, I'm getting information through. And then after a short period of time, obviously he told the Norwich players, it's a goal. He'd been told it was a goal. Now, it did look as though Aubameyang was offside at some stage during the movement towards the goal when Pepe had the first shot and the second shot. But the rules are the rules. When it came back off the post, it came back off Pepe, and he wasn't offside at that point. He was standing in front of an open goal with nobody near him 2 seconds before, and he can tap the ball into an open net. and he's not offside. It seems strange, but obviously it went in our favour, so we can't complain because we don't often get iffy decisions, do we? But it did seem a strange. Yeah,
it's bad enough, Rich. You've been at a game, you think you've scored a goal, and you've got to wait for VAR. That's bad enough. But when you score a goal and you don't know whether VAR's being used or not, that's even worse. That can't be right.
No.
So I hope they get that sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it must have gone to VAR because the referee was signalling to his ear.
I think you're right.
As though it had gone to VAR. Yeah.
Afterwards, it was quite obvious it might have done, or did do, sorry. But there was no one in the ground, no on the screens to say it's gone to VAR. So it's more uncertainty. Which
that is strange. I mean, I know this season that VAR was supposed to have been. They were supposed to be changing the way they were using it. There don't seem to be a lot of evidence of that in the opening 4 weeks of the season, does there? Some offside goals have been disallowed that maybe shouldn't have been, and that craziness in our game and a few others. So yeah, they need to sort that out really. But ultimately, I guess we came out on the right side of this decision, which makes a change. So so we need to embrace that fact and enjoy the fact that we've got. I mean, the rules are the rules, and apparently he wasn't offside according to the rules. I mean, if that goal had been scored against us, I think I would have been a little bit annoyed when you've got a player standing in front of an open goal in the 6-yard box, clearly offside 2 seconds before he scores. It's like, it's the same. So for me, that's the same phase of play, isn't it? Pepe's hit the post. He's hit the post again. It's come to Aubameyang, and all that's one phase of play. It's not 2 or 3 different phases, is it? It's one phase of play.
Exactly.
The attack hasn't stopped because the ball's hit the post. It hasn't gone out of play. So I don't know. All a bit strange. But anyway, we got the benefit of it, so we got to be happy. You just have to wonder, okay, are we actually going to score a proper normal goal at any point, or are they all going to be goals like that? Because we waited long enough for one. And
I did ask the question the other week, Richard. When's our next goal coming from? And it could only come for something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought when it went in. I'm thinking that's the only way we were going to score a goal, a bit of ricochets here and there, and it finally falls to Aubameyang. But like I said, we need to embrace the fact that we won the game because it was so important. And let's hope it is the start of better things. I'm probably coming away from that game thinking that I wasn't filled with optimism that we're going to now go on a run. But we had to get the win, didn't we? So it's good that we did. I mean, what I wanted to do is maybe talk a little bit about the team selection, because there was a lot of changes, a lot of unexpected people in the team, actually. I mean, mainly defensively, we made a lot of changes, didn't we? Completely different defence, goalkeeper. I mean, Dorsey, Ramsdale starting. Was you quite surprised by that?
I wasn't actually. I probably should have been, but I wasn't. If you're not bringing in a backup goalkeeper at £24 million, you're just not with the way that our squad is. The fact that it needed heavy investment, so. The fact they put that much money into a goalkeeper, for me, Mikel sees him coming in and being the number one, in my eyes, sooner rather than later. It's obvious there's a plan, there's an exit plan with Leno. He's not happy there, he wants out. So why not put him in? And for me, he's played 2 games, albeit against the opposition that we've played against, but he's kept 2 clean sheets. For me, give him a run of 4 or 5 games. See how he gets on. We've got Spurs coming up, obviously Burnley this next weekend. Just give him a run, 4 or 5 games, and see what he's made of. But there's plenty of clips floating around social media, that little drop of the shoulder he did and fooled the defender, and and that's what Leno doesn't give us. He's not comfortable with the ball at his feet at all. And I love the way that Ramsdale. It exudes that passion. You see him when we score a goal, we celebrate with the rest of the team. You don't see that much from goalkeepers, and they're as much a part of the team as anybody else. So it's nice to see that, and he comes across as a really nice guy that just wants to do his best for the club. So for me, I wasn't overly surprised to see him start. Actually, not many of the lineup surprised me. If they were fit, I think those players that came in were always going to come in. I think Gabriel was always going to come back in the team. It was nice to see that back 4, potentially our back 4 going forward, or even back 5 if you're including Ramsdale. And actually, I thought they did all right. All the players. I saw a stat as well about Ben White. played 3 key passes. I think was it key passes he played, which was, and I think David Luiz the season before played 2 all season. So that just goes to show what you're going to get from Ben White. He's going to be a player that's, again, he's comfortable on the ball and can play a bit. So it was a lot of changes, but I think based on the performances of the first 3 games, you've got to say it was probably justified. Not many of those players that dropped out can have much of an argument about being dropped. So I wasn't overly surprised about many of the changes, to be perfectly honest.
No, I mean, I think you're right. I was just maybe a little bit surprised that he made them all at the same time.
Yeah,
because, I mean, when was the last time between 2 Premier League games we made 7 changes? When there wasn't a series of injuries. I was really surprised that there was that many. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying about Ramsdale, and he wasn't bought as a backup. He's bought because he fits Arteta's style of play it out from the back. He's comfortable with his feet, as you said. But I was surprised that he got thrown in this quickly, because I expected. I mean, Leno's been number 1 for quite a long time. He's not really been challenged, has he, for that position? And I wasn't expecting that to be so quick. I thought it was going to maybe happen over the course of the next month or 2, maybe Ramsdale playing in the Carabao Cup again and this, that, and the other, and I thought he would eventually get a chance. I wasn't expecting it to be thrown straight in. And maybe Arteta was clever. Playing him against Norwich, who generally don't score many goals, an opportunity to get him in the team, a clean sheet, and everybody then backs that decision, don't they? And the same with all the other defenders. I mean, what did you make of that, Melvyn? Was you quite surprised? I mean, Tommy Asu was a surprise to me because he only flew into England on the Thursday, didn't he? So I was quite surprised he started. He played well, though, didn't he?
He done very well, I thought. I mean, it's nice to see a right back who can head a ball.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that was one of the biggest thing. I'm sitting there going, look at that. The ball's coming in the air. I don't know who's going to win it. You just know the geezer's going to win it. I was pleased to see him. I was a bit shocked that he played because, as you say, he'd only played a couple of days before. I was pleased for the goalkeeper. And I don't think he's just better on the ball, our goalkeeper. I think he gives a presence, which Leno doesn't. I think also it's telling you perhaps the manager has lost a bit of faith in Leno, because this was a big game for our manager, Him not to pick his first choice goalkeeper is telling you something.
Leno played quite well against Man City, though, didn't he?
He had a lot to do, didn't he?
Well, he did, yeah. I mean, he had a lot to do, but I thought he did pretty well. He made a few good saves, didn't he? And I was quite surprised that the change happened now. I knew it was going to happen at some stage, but I don't know. Yeah, I was quite surprised about
it's
that.
It's a bit earlier. Yeah, this change happened a bit earlier than I thought. I mean, to talk about a few of the players that he picked and how they played. I mean, the young kid, Lokonga,
yeah.
I'll tell you something. I'm impressed with him every time I see him play.
He's a good player. He's a good player.
He's a naturally good player, Dorsey, isn't he? He just
physically as well. He can get about the pitch. Yeah. He's got a little bit of everything about him.
Of course he has, and also when he gets the ball, he actually's got the confidence to go past the player. You think, is he actually going to make it? But he always does. He has that wing wriggling past the player, and he can hit a ball, can't he? He can see a pass. He knows to give it short, give it long. I'm very, very impressed with him. Hopefully, he will improve. He can get better, possibly. And I don't want him to fall in the same mire as some of the others. The only shock I had, really, on the selection, perhaps he wasn't fit, but he did come on a sub, was Smith Rowe. I can understand why Partey never started, but Smith Rowe...
He was ill, though, wasn't he?
No.
No, he was ill in the week.
Oh, was he?
Because he pulled out the England under-21s because he'd been ill. So there was a little doubt over whether he'd be able to play at all. So I think that's probably why he didn't start. But yeah, that I think I was kind of expecting him not to play because of that, really. But I mean, obviously, Ødegaard came in that position and did all right anyway, didn't he? So but that was the one I probably wasn't surprised about.
Yeah, he was ill and he played like that. Well, bloody hell. Because he changed the mood of the game when he came on.
Yeah.
He really did
him and Partey.
Oh, yeah, the pair of them. I mean, Partey, it's a very big word in the English language, isn't it? But if this geezer keeps fit, he is unbelievable. He is really, you just sit there and you look, oh, wow. His body movement, he's one step ahead of everybody else. His touch, he reads the game so well. He's like, not up to that standard, but a Pirlo, the way he touches the ball. He caresses the ball, and he does it in such a way that he always gets past the player. A player will be running past him because all of a sudden Partey stop, give him a shoulder, and the geezer will be bye-bye, off you go. And as I say, if this geezer can stay fit, which he did for Atletico Madrid, in all honesty, we have got some player there. You know,
we need him available for at least 35 of the 38 games, don't we? Really, and I guess the less football this season, I think, will help him naturally adjust a bit more to the league. He probably still needs a bit more time to get fully up to speed, and the fact you're not playing at the weekend and every Thursday as well, I think that will help. He probably won't necessarily need to play in all the cup games, albeit I think we've spoken about it before that I'd like to see us try and put together a cup run. So there's no real reason behind not playing full strength team in most of the games that we play. If there's some obvious ones to give him a rest, then give him a rest. But yeah, he's class. He really is.
Just remember that, boys. You've got the African Cup of Nations in January.
January. Yeah.
So we're going to miss him there anyway. So he's already missed 3 games. So he's not going to play 35 games, unfortunately. He'd have to play all the rest now. But yeah, I mean, we need him. He's an important player. There's no doubt about that. Shane's put a comment in the chat. He says it's only a matter of time when ESR, Saka, and Odegaard had goals and assists to their game. Could we get a retired striker to help them in training? Well, I don't know what they do in training, but yeah, we need more goals from all 3 of them, don't we? Realistically. Yeah. We need probably 2 of them to get double figures, and that's maybe been lacking up till now. We've got Fred in the chat as well. Says, hi everyone. Yeah, how you doing, Fred? Thanks for tuning in. And Rajendra says they're obviously talking about Ramsdale. He says he is commanding his defence to make sure there's no direct strike on goal. Yeah, he does that really well, doesn't he? Which is what I would do when in goal, as I'm useless at stopping hard shots. Yeah, the less hard shots you get coming at you, the better off you are when you're in goal. Definitely, there's no doubt about that. And what have we got else? And Rajendra again says there, apparently in the Everton game, the opposition did a worse tackle on Richarlison. So not given a yellow card. Yeah, no, I saw that as well. That was very similar tackle, wasn't it? In fact, that one was almost.
He actually caught him. I don't think Xhaka actually caught the geezer.
No, he didn't. I mean, yeah, Xhaka was 2 feet off the ground. You can understand.
Well, he gets sent off. I'm not saying that, but this, you're talking about injury. This guy could have been broken his leg so easy. He hit him. He really did hit him.
Yeah, no, he did, and it was right on the touchline, a stupid tackle to make. He didn't need to make a tackle there, did he? It wasn't like it was going to. It was.
But Richarlison probably was giving him a bit because he's a bit aggressive. Richarlison himself, isn't he?
Yeah, he probably was. But ultimately, you can't go.
That's right, but you can understand why tackles like that might have gone on. But he should have got at least a yellow card for that.
Yeah, I mean,
he wasn't wearing a red shirt.
That was ridiculous. I mean, when you look at some of the tackles that haven't been given red cards, and Xhaka was, and everyone's easy to jump on Xhaka and have a go at him for that red card. And yeah, it probably was a red card. But when you look what other players get away with, it's frustrating, isn't it? But I mean, hopefully, things might be turning our way, as we said, because of that offside decision against Norwich that's gone in our favour. So maybe, we'll start a good run now. Maybe the refs like us after all. Perhaps now maybe they feel sorry for us because we were bottom of the league. So I thought, right, okay, we'll feel sorry for them now. We'll give them a few decisions for the next few weeks, and then
I don't think the referee was that good to us on Saturday, apart from the goal.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't really.
I don't think he was that good. I thought he was a bit of a wrong one, but that's another story.
Well, most of them are.
What's your question on one player? Because I've listened to a few people what they think about a player, and you Dorsey as well. How do you think Pepe played? That game, forget about anything else. That 90 minutes, how did Pepe play?
The thing is, he makes himself look dangerous without being dangerous, if that makes sense. The way he attacks players, it makes. I don't know. Obviously, I only saw the highlights, so I've not seen the full 90 minutes of the game.
I'll do mine. What about you, Richard?
Yeah. I thought for me, that game on Saturday with Pepe was probably a typical game of Pepe. Every so often, he'll look like a world beater, really dangerous, running with the ball, taking on defenders. Obviously, he was instrumental in the goal with his shot at the post. Well, the goal, he tipped it onto the post. And then there's other times when he can't even control the ball, and it just bounces off his leg and goes out for a throw-in. And he does that all the time. And, he's a talented player, but what he isn't and what he wasn't on Saturday, he's not consistent enough in the game. So he'll have 5 or 10 minutes in a game when he's really, really good. He'll have 5 or 10 minutes in a game when he's absolutely dreadful. Like he goes from like Champions League to Sunday League in the same game. And then the rest of the game, he's not influential at all because he's not involved. And he works hard. He runs up and down a lot. He does some defensive work as well, which is great. But ultimately, he flatters to deceive with me. And I kind of agree with the point that Dorsey made. He looks dangerous when he isn't really dangerous. It's because of, I don't know, he doesn't often carry it through, does he? he's a slightly better version of Iwobi, I think. And I thought Saturday was a typical example of that. He looked good at times, and he was one of our most dangerous players. But also, he was also a liability at other times when he can't control the ball.
I think he's a prime example of a confidence player, isn't he? When you look at him towards the end of last season, and he scored 5 or 6 goals or whatever it was he got towards the end of the season, and he looked dangerous, and he was dangerous. So I think I think we've just got to accept the fact he's going to be one of those players that's going to go on a run of maybe 10 games where he's going to be brilliant, and he'll get 5, 6, 7 goals, create a few, get some assists.
Yeah, but
and then he'll go quiet a bit.
Yeah, but Dorsey, I was saying this the other day, right? I don't think he's ever had a good game for 90 minutes. He'll have good moments in every game, and he'll have terrible moments in every game. I don't think he's had a good game for 90 minutes. He hasn't. And I don't even think, and I know people might not agree, I might not like it, but I don't even think he's as good as Walcott was for us.
My view was that what I saw, and I want him to do well. Obviously, I'm praying.
Yeah, of course we'll do. Yeah.
But on Saturday's game, we're sitting there, and the ball kept bouncing off his shin.
Yeah,
and we're playing balls up to him. We're going, why is that happening? It happens to a player once every 5, 6 games, perhaps. It happens to him about 4 or 5 times in one game. Also, he was good at beating players when he goes from the right wing, cuts inside. His shin is to go, and he goes inside. That's good. But when he was on a one-on-one with the last defender on 4 or 5 occasions, most certainly in the second half, I noticed it, he never beat him once. Only had space. He wasn't like 2 defenders near each other. One defender he had to beat, and had lots of space because they drifted to one side, Norwich. And after the 3rd time, I thought, he ain't going to beat him. There's no way. And he never did. He got cut under his feet, or he beat a man and he'd come back and try and beat him again. He doesn't beat him and then go. You understand?
No,
and that's what
happened to wingers that had a bit of space in front of them and just knocked the ball 20 yards in front of them and just do him for pace. Walcott did it in fits and spurts, but you don't see any of those wingers now. People like Overmars that just used to just hit it in the space and just leave people for dead. And Pepe's not slow by any means. He's quicker than most fullbacks in the league. So I don't know why. It's too ticky-tacky sometimes, and it's just sometimes it's not past him and just run.
Yeah, I mean, he takes the momentum out of a lot of attacks because he'll run 10 yards. He's got space, and then he'll stop and cut back inside. And sometimes because he wants it on his left foot, and I understand that because I'm left-footed, I can't kick me right. But ultimately, when he's on the left-hand side, he's on his strong side. He still does the same anyway. He still won't run past somebody. He'll still cut back inside. So I don't understand. He's not direct enough for me, and unfortunately, if he's not going to be like that, then he's never going to be consistent in a game, is he? He's never going to be influential.
Unless we have to come to the conclusion that he's not a winger.
What is he then?
Yeah, I don't know what he is if he's not a winger.
Well, I mean, a winger, as you said, would get the ball, go past someone, and run past them, and he doesn't do that. So.
Maybe Melvyn. What he needs is, if you remember, when Thierry Henry joined, he was sort of a winger, and he was converted into a striker by good coaching. Now, maybe Pepe could be converted into a striker because he can finish. Let's be honest.
He played through the middle a bit more for Lille, didn't he? I think he played pretty much through the middle up front with Lille in that season where he got 17 goals or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think he pretty much played as part of the front too, so might be an option.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I mean, I don't think he's physical enough for the Premier League as an out striker on his own, but maybe he could play off a striker, couldn't he? Perhaps.
Aubameyang's not physical enough for the Premier League, in my opinion, either. So
no, he's not.
He's got plenty of goals.
If he doesn't score, if he doesn't score, Richard, when he gets into that box, he'll get penalties for us, I reckon.
Yeah. Well, he's tricky enough, isn't he?
Possibly. But if he runs at people, he causes problems, but he doesn't do it enough, does he? That's his problem. I agree. And Shane says there in the chat he says, Pepe frustrates the crap out of me. Yeah, I think he does all of us. He said, honestly, ESR will start ahead of him in a lot of games this season. He probably will. And I don't think ESR's not a natural wide player either, is he? He wants to cut inside, but at least he can be direct, and he's going to bring quality when he's got the ball, which Pepe, sometimes you think he might, and other times you don't know what he's going to do. I don't think he knows what he's going to do half the time. So, he is frustrating. I think that's the best word to sum him up, actually. And it's the same every game. I don't think he's had a decent 90 minutes. He'll have a decent 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes in every game, and then he'll drift out of the game. He'll fall over his feet. He'll come cut back inside. He'll lose the ball, and then that's Pepe in it. And then he'll score a worldie in the last 5 minutes on his left foot, cutting inside and banging one in the corner, or doing what he did on Saturday, setting up the goal by doing that, hitting the post and creating the goal. So.
I would label him, just to finish off with Pepe, I would label him a luxury player, which we can't really afford at the moment.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's probably a good way of describing him, actually. Yeah, he probably is a bit of a luxury, isn't he? If we're playing well, he probably contributes. If we're not playing well, he's not going to drive us forward, and he's not going to take the game by the scruff of the neck, is he? But we've got a lot of players like that, actually, haven't we, in the team? That's our problem. We've got half a team of luxury players, and even when everybody's fit, we've probably got more luxury players. But anyway, we'll see what happens with Pep. Hopefully, he'll do a bit better. Regina says ESR gels well with Saka. Yeah, he does, yeah. They don't know what each of them will do. I mean, the problem is, I think ESR and Saka need a little bit more experience around them to help them, because sometimes we can't rely on those two to keep getting us out of the mire every single week, can we? I mean, Saka's looking tired at the minute, actually, with his England stuff as well. And, you know, we can't just keep relying on them. We need a bit more quality around them, a bit more experience. But, you know, they're both doing really well at the minute. And, you know, let's hope it continues. I mean, talking of young players who maybe didn't kind of push on as we hope they might, there's one that maybe could be possibly on his way back. I mean, the Jack Wilshere thing seems to have been picking up a little bit of ground. Obviously, Arteta was asked about it, said the door's always open. He's only 29, Jack Wilshere, and I know he's had a lot of injury problems. He's not played as many games as he should have done at his age. But, I mean, do you think it would be a good thing to have him back? Certainly training, Melvyn. I mean, not necessarily getting him a contract to play yet, but would you have him back training with the team?
100%. 100%. Even if he just trains with the kids, they could learn so much off of him. See, he knows what it's like being an Arsenal player, and you know, not his fault that he got injured so much. One of the tackles he did get done with away at Man United, some young kid done him.
Yeah,
I thought that was one of the worst tackles I've seen, and no one even spoke about it. That's not his fault. All right, perhaps his style of play didn't help, but I think the management played him too much when he was 16 and 17. Never gave him a rest. We don't seem to learn those lessons somehow. And we knew that could happen. I mean, we were talking about it, not on here, but I'm talking about people that you go to football with and all that. I loved Wilshere. Everything about him, certain people didn't rate him. I just couldn't see it. I thought he was a terrific footballer. He was a sturdier, not better, but a stronger Liam Brady. The way he moved with the ball, the way he can take people out the game with one pass. His close control was very good. Perhaps it was too good. Perhaps that's why he got clobbered so much. He wouldn't release it very quick. But I think his heart and soul's in the club, right? I think, and I'll be honest with you, I'd play him if he was fit. If he got back to fitness, you don't give me, obviously not going to give him a big contract, but he would obviously have a pay as you play or something type thing. Yeah. He can't do worse than the left-sided midfield we got at the moment, And he's a bit older. He could play a bit deeper anyway, which is the role we need. And he could actually run it from there. He's 29 years old. He could have another three years with a good win behind him, as they say. So I'd take him just for him in the dressing room or the training ground, and if it would be icing on the cake if he would get himself fit to play a few games, because I think he would be good in our team, especially with the youngsters there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key, isn't it? I mean, he certainly wouldn't do any harm, would he, to the young players? I mean, he's got leadership qualities as well. I mean, he was captain of the youth team when he was younger, and you can see he's got that, he's got some of those leadership characteristics that are lacking so much in most of our squad, actually. And he would be a massive help just on that side of it alone. I mean, one of my memories of Jack Wilshere, actually, which I remember there was a game we played away at West Brom, and he was playing sort of out left wing, really, rather than in the centre midfield, just because of the system we played that day. And in the first half, he had an absolute nightmare. The ball was bouncing off his feet. He just couldn't get past the player. He was getting tackled all the time. And the crowd were getting a little bit on his back, actually. And when we went off at half time, he was getting some stick off the crowd. People were booing him and stuff like that. And then second half, we were 1-0 down. And then second half, he came out and he scored a goal, made it 1-1. And it kind of just shows sort of character that he's got, because a lot of players would have gone into themselves because they had such a bad first half and getting stick. And he came out second half, scored a goal, and he was our best player in the second half, actually. And it just kind of, to me, that kind of sums up exactly what he's about, Jack Wilshere. And if it wasn't for the injuries, I think he would have been an unbelievable player. And it's unfortunate what happened. Yes, he's 29 now, and we don't really know what state his fitness is in. You know, he might be able to train, but is he fit to play in the Premier League at the moment? We don't know, do we? But I would have him back. Would you have him back, Dorsey, for training initially, and then see whether or not we can get him on a contract or not?
For me, I mean, there's been quite a few interviews recently with Jack from various different entities, and it's hard not to get a bit emotional about it, because you see how much he's struggled and the amount of stick that he's got over the course of the last 10 years. You know, all the people that just have abused him because of his injuries, and you know, and it's he should have been our Steven Gerrard. He should have been that one player that should have been a one club man. He would have grown into the role of captain, and for me, and he was that kind of. I think it was one of his role models was Gerrard growing up. So yeah, I love Jack Wilshere to my bones, and that will never change. So for me, I don't see any. It only benefits everybody by having him back. It doesn't matter what capacity you have him back in, whether he's just training. You know, we portray ourselves as a real classy club. You know, we look after our ex-players. So you look at him, and he's a bit down in his luck. He needs a bit of a helping hand. Get him back in. Get him back training with good players. Try and keep his fitness up. See if you can help him find a club, whether that be Arsenal or someone else. But yeah, get him back in the door. Like Melvyn just said, you know, he's been through the Hale End. He's been through the academy. He knows what that entails. So for people like Saka and Smith Rowe and Balogun and all these other players that are coming through the academy, it can only benefit them massively, in my opinion. And if he proves his worth, give him a pay-as-you-play contract. You're not losing out or anything. The bottom line is you're getting a very, very technically gifted player on almost financially. It's not going to cost you anything, and you pay him when he plays, and when he's fit enough to play, you know, you play him. So for me, it's a no-brainer. It really is. You know, you get him in and around the squad, get him fit, get him training, get him around the kids, and if he's fit enough to play a few cup games, a few league games here and there, if we're struggling, then it's a no-brainer. I'd have him back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all would. I mean, Shane says in the chat there, he says Super Jacket's a no-brainer for him as well. He says love to see him bring Charlie Patino under his wing. He's a gunner. Yeah, I mean, it would be really good to have him back at the club, like you said, in some capacity. And you know, I'm sure if he's training with the kids, he's training even with the first team. I mean, I wanted to kind of look at a little bit. You know, on Saturday we had Ainsley Maitland-Niles playing in midfield. Now, for me, I wasn't convinced by his performance, particularly in midfield. He moved to right back later on, maybe looked a bit better. But you can't tell me that Jack Wilshere, even at 90% fit, wouldn't have been a better option in midfield on Saturday than Maitland-Niles was. As much as Maitland-Niles thinks he's a midfield player, he's not at that level, is he? I mean, surely Jack, for me, if he can get himself even nearly fit, it's going to be a better option than some of the players. El Neni is another one. You know, he's a much better option than him, certainly technically, not maybe physically getting around the pitch as much. But I don't know. To me, Jack Wilshere is good enough to be challenging for a place in the first team, not just training with the kids. I mean, yeah, he can help the kids as well, but he's good enough, isn't he, in his current squad?
If he's fit.
Yeah. If he's fit,
he's not going to come in with any ridiculous demands. You know, he's just going to be grateful to be back in and around decent players and in the squad. You know, it doesn't cost us anything for me to have him back. It's a no-brainer to have him back.
Yeah, it needs to happen, and I hope it does. You know, we've done it before, haven't we? We've had ex-players training with. Even Robert Pires was training with us when he was about 45. So, you know,
and he was still better than some of the players as well.
Yeah, he's still better than now, probably.
Campbell trained with us again. Then
Campbell came back for a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
But first of all, it was just for training, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that when we re-signed him the second time? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When we signed him for a short loan period or whatever it was. Yeah.
Flamini as well, because he came back and trained with us, and we signed him on a contract, didn't we?
Yeah,
so we've got a history of doing it. It's not like it's not something the club do. So let's get it done. I mean, Gary from DWTTD in the chat. How you doing, Gary? Thanks for watching. Check his channel out as well. He says as much as Arsenal's youth need Jack in the training room, they do. They need some of that knowledge, leadership on the pitch. No, exactly, we do. That's what we've been saying. It's that leadership that he's got that we lack, and he would be massive for that, wouldn't he, to bring that into the changing room. And Shane says, I named my son Jack Shay after my favourite players at the time, Jack and Shay Given. Well, there you go. I mean, fantastic. I mean, what better player to name your son after than Jack? I'm not sure about Shay Given, but anyway, I understand your reasons for that, but we'll let you off. But yeah, I mean, Jack Wilshere for me would definitely be a thumbs up, and I'm hoping and confident that it will happen, because like you said, Dorsey, the club got nothing to lose. Pay per play contract. If he's not playing, we don't pay him, and if he plays, he gets paid, and that's fair enough, isn't it? And he can help in training, help the young players, help develop, and maybe show some of those guys what it means to play for Arsenal, because some of them seem to have lost that. I don't know. I think have lost that feeling of what it means to play for a club like Arsenal. I think some of them do. A lot of them, unfortunately, it just seems to be, isn't it? The ones that's come through the academy system, they're the ones that get it. I don't think half of the others do, and Jack can maybe push that into him. Perhaps we'll see, but let's hope that happens very soon, because it'd be great to see him. But I mean, it's almost like it doesn't seem real that we could see Jack playing in the first team again in the Premier League for Arsenal. I mean, who would ever thought that was going to happen again when he left before?
Imagine the cheer he'd get. He'd get from the fans if he came on. It would be
fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a game at Everton in Wenger's last season that he came back from a long injury layoff. He came on as a sub, and everybody was going mad when he came on. It was just brilliant. And you can imagine that now it'd be 10 times more, wouldn't it, if he actually got to play in the Premier League at the Emirates again? It'd be fantastic. So
it'll lift the club, won't it? It'll lift the club.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's. I know it's not like Ronaldo going back to Man United, but I mean, it would have a big, massive lift, wouldn't it, for everybody at Arsenal? The similar kind of impact maybe as what that is, because it's a great player that unfortunately has had a hard time, and we need to help him out, and he can help us as well. So if you're watching Arteta, get him back, get him in the training ground, get him in with you, let him help you as well. Let him help you out on that training pitch, because you clearly need a bit of help, and I'm sure he can do a better job than some of the people you've got there helping you at the minute. So that needs to happen, that anyway. But we'll see. Let's hope it does. Right, what I want to do is have a little look back. We always have a little archive section on here, and I've decided to pick a season that it was a good season, but I've picked this season just because we did win 1-0 on Saturday. It's a nice Arsenal score, so I thought I'd go back to the season when 1-0 to the Arsenal was the big thing that was happening all the time. So 1993-94, of course, the season when 1-0 to the Arsenal was actually born. That song in Paris in the semi-final, and that season actually there was a lot of 1-0 victories. It was like that was a transition for me from the exciting football that at the sort of the turn of the 90s when we won the league in 91, and that great team with all the attacking players, all the goals that we scored, and it was that transition really away from that George brought in. He packed the midfield with workers instead of creative players, relied on Ian Wright to get all the goals. And this season, that was when all that kind of was the start of all that for me. We were difficult to beat, good defence as always, and Wrighty often would get a goal, wouldn't he? And we would win 1-0. And that's what happened in that final. Of course, Wrighty didn't play in the final, did he? It was Smudger who got the goal. But that kind of summed up where we were at that time, didn't it? I mean, I don't know how many 1-0 wins we had that season. I know it was a lot. And we only had about 6 or 7 different goal scorers in the Premier League, from what I remember. Ian Wright got the majority of them, and Kevin Campbell as well. And other than that, we didn't have many midfield players scoring goals for us that season, actually. And,
I looked at the goal scorers earlier. I think Ian Wright got 34.
That's right.
Kevin Campbell got 19, I think. And then after that, you had Merson on 12, and then there was pretty much nothing after that. Alan Smith got 7. I think Tony Adams got 4.
There was no midfield in that list, was there, really? I mean, Merson, you could say, was a bit midfield, but he was more of a forward to me. But, I think we had John Jensen in midfield. He never scored, did he, as we know? David Hillier was playing a bit, wasn't he? He didn't really score many goals. Paul Davis was in and out of the team. He never
scored that season, Paul Davis. He never scored.
No, he didn't. He played all them European games as well. He was towards the end of his career then. He was still a great player. But, we we lack goals from midfield, which obviously is a problem that we've got now as well. You know, it's funny when you look back. I like looking back on these seasons because there's so many parallels with what's going on now. Only in them days we just had the right qualities to be able to still be successful, didn't we? So we won in Europe that season. We finished 4th as well in the league, despite the fact that we couldn't score enough goals. And in fact, we went on a 19-game Premier League unbeaten run that season from December to May. We didn't lose in the Premier League from, I think it was just before Christmas until just before the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup. We changed the team around and lost a couple of games at the end, but we went 19 games unbeaten in the league. So it was, you know, there was still that kind of league title winning mentality in the team. We just lacked one or two bits of quality in midfield to sustain a title challenge. I mean, what are your memories of that season, Melvyn? And obviously Europe, I suppose, will be the main one, won't it? The Cup Winners' Cup run and winning the
Europe
trophy.
I went to the semi-final actually, and I saw this geezer. Didn't know his name to start with. Soon worked out who it was. Ginola. He played that night. He was unbelievable.
Paris Saint-Germain was it the semi?
Yeah, Paris Saint-Germain. He was.
He scored as well, didn't he? He scored their goal.
Got the equaliser.
Yeah.
And it was madness there. The fans behind the goal where he scored ran down, even though there were seats there. I don't know how they managed it. It looked very dangerous. But that was a great night. And that's when I first heard the song 1-0 to the Arsenal. You know, that's
it was half time, wasn't it? It was half time,
That's it. Yeah, it was like, what's that? Where did that come from? Also, a nice one that I went to was away at Spurs that season. Ian Wright scored.
Yeah.
Someone was a corner. Someone headed it, and he was about a yard out, and he headed it again.
Yeah,
it was early on in the season, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Second game, I think, That
was it. I tell you what I did go to, which I didn't enjoy. I went up to Manchester when Cantona scored, made it 1-0. I think he hit it from outside the box. He hit it a blinding shot. Seaman didn't even see it. No one would have saved that. That wasn't a very good 1-0. Just trying to think other ones as well. I think 1-0, we beat him 1-0 in the replay, didn't we? At the second leg, Paris Saint-Germain to get through, didn't we?
Yeah. Kevin Campbell scored.
That's a header, I think. Yeah.
He scored after about 4 minutes, Kevin Campbell, and then we held on and won 1-0. But that was typical of Arsenal then, wasn't it? We could do it in them days. We could defend the lead.
I don't know if I've told you this story, but a friend of mine went on holiday and he came back the day we had the second leg of the semi-final, right? And those days you didn't have it on the internet and watch the game. So they got home and him and his son got home, mad Arsenal supporters, and he said to his son, look, he says, don't watch the game now, and we've recorded it. No, Dad, I want to watch it. And I don't, because I know you're going to give away the result of me. No, I'll watch it now. You go to bed, because it was very, very late. And I'll, when you get up in the morning, you won't get any clues. Right. Anyway, he gets up the next day, and the father goes, don't tell me anything. I don't know. It's all right. All I'll tell you is that Ian Wright misses the final.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Not what you want to hear, is it?
No, brilliant.
Thanks a lot.
Good at keeping a secret, obviously. But yeah, I mean that was probably the big talking point in that game, wasn't it? When he got booked, Ian Wright, and he did a bit of a Gaza, didn't he? And was
exactly reminded me of Gaza sending off.
Yeah, it was like that, wasn't it? It was a shame because Ian Wright had scored all the goals going all the way through to the final, and then he couldn't play in the final, which was heartbreaking for him, really. And I didn't think we was going to be able to win because I think we had a few players missing for the final, actually, didn't we? And it was just a great back to the wall performance, wasn't it? We got the goal and hung on as we did so many times that season anyway. And at that time, not just that season,
they were a decent team, Palmer. They were a decent team.
They were very good
fantastic
team.
Players. They had a Spear.
They had
Brolin.
Zola.
Brolin. No, it was a great night that. I went out on a great night. Also, I tell you what, another one we got beat, which is not 1-0 this one, but I remember it. It was when Bolton beat us in the FA Cup replay at Highbury.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that put the implant of getting Bruce Rioch as our manager, I reckon.
Yeah, it could have done, yeah. It could have been that. It was the next 2 years later, wasn't it? A year and a half later that we got him.
I definitely think that put the seed in their mind to get that manager because they did play well, Bolton. And who's the Irish guy? Went to Liverpool, McIntyre.
Yeah.
I think he scored one. He had a terrific game against us. He really did. And we were after him at one stage. Obviously, Liverpool with us for a change. But no, that was a horrible horrible thing because
Was that the one when we drew? Did we draw the first game 2-2 at Bolton? Is that right?
Yeah, 2-0,
I went to that game. I didn't know if that was that season or the season before, but yeah, I remember that 2-2 at Bolton. That was a decent game. That we should have won that actually, and then we conceded a late equaliser, didn't we? And then they obviously won the replay. Was it extra time the replay? I think it was, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. Hold on. Doesn't say. I don't remember. I don't know if it was extra time. I can't remember, to be honest with you. But it reminded me of when we got beat by Watford in the FA Cup when Barnes scored a couple. That type of game, you know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we just couldn't score, could we? We played pretty well. We just couldn't score, and then they picked us off on the break, didn't they? I remember. Yeah. Was it John McGinley might have scored one or two?
Yeah, John McGinley. Yeah.
John McGinley gave us a few
barrel-chested guy. Good forward.
The guy that Rioch wanted to replace Ian Wright with.
That's it. Yeah.
He kept telling Ian Wright, "You're not as good as John McGinley." Yeah, all right, mate. Okay.
Yeah, take some tips from John McGinley. Watch him play. See how he does it.
Yeah.
That tells you all you need to know about Bruce Rioch, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it told you all you need to know about this season that he had with us. I mean, what are your sort of memories from that season, Doors, that stick out? And you must have a few good ones because overall, I know it was a frustrating season. We didn't play great football, but ultimately, we only had second and last European trophy. Yeah,
bear in mind I was only nearly 11 when the season kicked off, so I wasn't that old. I remember it not starting very well. We lost 3-0 to Coventry, didn't we, in the first game of the season? And then obviously the 1-0 win against Spurs after that. But the one game that did always stick in my head was the 7-0 away win at Liège in the Europe. I think we won 10-0 over the two legs, I think.
Yeah.
But I think I looked at the scorers a bit early, and there was like 6 different scorers in that game.
Eddie scored a goal, I think. Eddie McGoldrick scored a stunner, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think Ian Selly got one as well.
He did, yeah. But, everybody scored that night. Everyone who never scored before, they all scored that night.
Yeah. But then, just the same couple of the same games that Melvyn mentioned. Obviously, the 1-0 away at Spurs. A few games that stood out, but it was a decent season. But we obviously just struggled with goals, didn't we? I was quite shocked when I looked at the scorers in that season to see Tony Adams was like our 4th top goal scorer or something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but that just sums it up because everything. Yeah. Arsenal's tactics in them days under George was just get the ball to Ian Wright, just get it to Ian Wright, and that's all you've got to do. And 9 times out of 10, he would get us a goal, wouldn't he? And he did. He scored 34, 35 goals that season, didn't he? So
I tell you, the one thing that stood out for me in that season is the away kit. It's the one kit, the yellow one with the free. It's the one kit that I'm missing since 1992. It's the only one I haven't got. I've got every other kit since then, so I need to get hold of one of them but they're quite expensive.
I mean, funny that you're talking about that kit. I remember a game on Boxing Day that season we played Swindon. That was their season in the Premier League. We won 4-0 away at Swindon on Boxing Day or day after Boxing Day, and Kevin Campbell scored a hat-trick, and he must have thought he was going to be the top guy, and then in the last minute Ian Wright scored a goal for about 40 yards, chipped the keeper. And it was like he's just stole Kevin Campbell's thunder again. He gets a hat-trick and then Wright scores a goal like that. It was brilliant. But that was in that yellow kit that you said. That was a nice kit.
I loved it. Yeah, it was.
It was a great kit. And we had a lot of away wins that season wearing it, actually. A lot of them were 1-0, but that Swindon game, I'll never forget that. That goal that Ian Wright scored was absolutely brilliant. And that just summed up the season. That was probably, I think that was it's probably his best season, actually, complete season for us, actually, that season, right? He was absolutely brilliant. He drove us on so many games. He won us so many games. I seem to remember there was a game, I think it was Man City away, and it was a terrible game. We got battered by them, but we grimly held on for 0-0. And in the last minute, he popped up and scored a goal, and we won 1-0. And that kind of summed up Ian Wright. It just summed up that whole season for me. And I'm sure that was that season when he just got a really scrappy goal in the last minute away at Man City. And it's like, that was that season for me, summed up in that one game, really. And obviously the 1-0 scoreline, we won so many games that season, 1-0. And obviously the two that mattered, the semi-final second leg when Campbell scored, and then obviously the final when Alan Smith scored. And both of them games we got an early goal and just held on. What a defence that was. I don't think that's really... I know people talk about the famous back five, but in overall, that's got to be the greatest defence ever to play in football history. It's got to be. Just for that many years.
Without a doubt. And I'll tell you something. What I remember about the final is loads of things, but one in particular, I thought that was Bowles one of his greatest ever games for the club. He played well for us, but don't get me wrong. But he went on another level because they didn't have a lot of protection from the midfield that night, Arsenal. They were getting peppered. And him and who did he play next? Was it Adams, wasn't it? Would have been Adams.
Yeah, Adams,
They stood up, those two. I mean, he gave a performance, Bold. I thought he was fantastic. I think he got called up for England just after that.
I think he might have done,
England had a friendly or whatever just after that, because it was pre-season. I think that he got called up. He was terrific that game. They all were, but he was, in my opinion, head of the show.
Yeah, I mean, that was just, I mean, that defence, there's not even a debate for me. That's the greatest defence ever in football history. And why they didn't play as a unit for England at that time, I do not know. Because they were, even if individually, you could say that maybe Man United had better players individually, perhaps some of them. But as a unit, why would you not pick them all together when they were the best defence in the country at the time? Well, I never understood that. All of them should have played 50, 60 games for England together consecutively, all of them in a line when they were fit. And it was ridiculous that they never. I mean, even Tony Adams kept getting left out of the England squad, didn't he? When he was playing, it's like, why would you not pick him? It's just ridiculous, really, when you think about it. I mean, Wrighty as well never got picked that much, did he? He never even got picked for the Euros in '92 when he'd won the Golden Boot the year before, and he never even got picked to go to Euros. It's like, what? How does that make sense? He was the greatest goal scorer.
Henry never won Player of the Year, did he? How did he not win Player of the Year? Yeah. I mean, come on, it was ridiculous.
It is crackers, isn't it?
Yes, it's the agenda against Arsenal goes back maybe further than we think it does.
Well, it goes back a lot further than that, I say. If we've got anything Arsenal in the chat, it's good to see you guys. Make sure you check their channel out as well. They have some great stuff going on. Anything Arsenal. He says Ian Wright got back-to-back hat-tricks against Ipswich and Southampton. Yeah, he did. I was at both of them games. I think Ipswich one, was that the one when Lee Dixon scored an own goal? And I think we ended up winning 5-1 and Wright scored a hat-trick, and then he got a hat-trick away at Southampton as well. He liked scoring against Southampton, actually, right? Didn't he? Because he got a hat-trick in his first.
A hat-trick last game of the season, didn't he? As well.
He did, yeah. He must have got 3 or 4 hat-tricks against that. Was that defender? Was it Ken Moncal, their defender? He always had a battle with him. Yeah. He always ended up scoring loads of goals against him, didn't he? And anything Arsenal there said 4 or 5 0-0 draws in a row. I think there were 4 in a row at the start of the season, weren't there? We couldn't score goals. I think we had 4 0-0s in the Premier League.
It was 4. Just looking now, 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had Norwich. I think one of them was Norwich, and then we played Norwich in the League Cup and beat them away 3-0, and we drawn 0-0 with them in the league.
Away to Oldham. We couldn't score against Oldham, Norwich, and the other two were Liverpool, Man City.
Man City, yeah. I went to that game at Liverpool. It was 0-0. There was a big crash on the motorway on the M6. We got to the game about 5 minutes before half time, and it was 0-0. The worst game of football ever. And then the second half was even worse. We're thinking it took us 7 hours to get there because of the traffic. And it was the worst. We only saw about 50 minutes of the game. It was the worst game of football ever. It was 0-0. It was like, why do we even bother going to football? What a total waste of time. But we in them days, though, you kind of expected the games to be quite dull because that was what Arsenal was like. But you always hoped we were going to nick a goal, and quite often we did. But on that particular day, we didn't. That was not one of the best experiences of my life going to football. But anyway,
you know what, right? Just touching on Ian Wright before we move on. I genuinely don't think that guy gets the respect that he deserves. I honestly think that guy was just. In my lifetime anyway, when I look at the Premier League, I would say that the most natural goal scorer I've seen in the Premier League was probably Robbie Fowler. But Ian Wright is right up there for me. The guy, he scored every kind of goal that you would need a striker to score. The guy was just lethal, absolutely lethal. I don't think he gets talked about enough. Not just for Arsenal. Because obviously we've had Henry and Bergkamp and other players since then, but just outside of that, as a Premier League legend, I don't think he gets the credit he sometimes deserves.
I mean, when you think as well, right? He never got into professional football until he was 21, right?
Yeah, 21, nearly 22.
Yeah, and he ended up he scored 333 goals in his career, including goals for England.
Insane.
And considering he didn't even start playing until he was 21 in professional football, I mean, that is ridiculous numbers, and that makes him, for me, as you said, probably one of the greatest goal scorers ever in English football history. And he doesn't get the credit he deserves for that. Everyone looks up to Alan Shearer because he's got the record, and people look up to these other players, and people like Cantona and people like that who didn't score half as many goals as Wrighty, and yet they're looked upon as being better players than Wright, and I don't think they were. I mean, Wright, he was a phenomenal player, wasn't he? And for 3 or 4 seasons at Arsenal, he just literally drove that team forward, didn't he? It was him, it was Ian Wright, and any other 10. That was it. That's what we were.
He had an enormous heart, didn't he? Enormous heart.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And you could just see how much, maybe because of his childhood, and he spent time in prison and all that, and he got into the game late. You could see how much it meant to him, and how, he literally gave everything that he could possibly give, the maximum in every single game, and he didn't shy out of anything.
He played No, he didn't, and he played every single game like it was going to be his last game. He really did. Like, he did it. I can't think of a player that made the most of the opportunity he'd been given. I mean, he'd been pushing for that opportunity for so long, and he'd been pushed back, and it just, all the time in the world for Wright. And even now, I mean, you look at still how passionately he talks about the club, and he's still heavily involved. So, I love him to death, mate. I think he's absolutely superb, proper gooner.
Yeah, no, he is. I mean, we all love Wright, and I can't believe that he can't do something in that dressing room with some of them players. Let some of his passion rub off on some of them, and just even to speak to them, and what an opportunity that these players have got to be professional footballers playing for a club like Arsenal. Ian Wright would never have imagined when he was younger that he would have probably had that opportunity, and when he got it, he made sure he made the most of every single second. And some of these players just because they don't care and they're not that bothered, they're just drifting through their career. And Ian Wright, needs to speak to them and say, and make them understand exactly what it means, because nobody really understands it to that degree. I don't think no one these days do. I mean, Wright, it wasn't just Arsenal. I mean, of course he loved Arsenal, but he would have done that whoever he played for. Palace, it wouldn't have mattered who he played for. He would have been the same, wouldn't he? He would have given everything in every single. He's a bit like, I think Jamie Vardy is about the only current player that you can even compare to him, right?
Very parallel.
Similar journey. They show the
very
same.
Aggressive.
They're just giving everything to make the most of the opportunity that they've got and not taking it for granted, like too many players seem to. And Jamie Vardy. Let's remember, Ian Wright wasn't paid the same sort of money that players get, like Jamie Vardy's getting now. So Ian Wright did it because he did it for that passion, and Jamie Vardy does as well. Even though he gets paid a lot, he's still doing it for that passion to play football, and it's just great to see. I like Jamie Vardy for that reason. I know he's a bit of a character, isn't he? Sometimes you don't like playing against him, but you've got to admire him because of that, really. And he is
like him in the team, wouldn't you, Richard?
We nearly got him, didn't we? Imagine if we had done all those years ago, we could have signed him. Imagine what difference it might have made, because that rubs off on other players, doesn't it? It does.
Yeah.
That attitude rubs off on other people, and we don't have anybody like that, and that's why we're probably in the mess that we're in. We need another Ian Wright somewhere. We need to find one from somewhere and get him in and shake everything up, or maybe just use the Ian Wright that's already there.
Yeah. I think that connection that he had with Rocky as well goes a long way. That gets talked about quite a bit. His relationship with David Rocastle, and he's a very, very special player and a special man to have involved in the club. Love him.
He's a special human. His story to make a bloody film out of it.
It's an unbelievable life he's had, isn't it?
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Amazing. And only one teacher. Remember that when he saw his old teacher that he thought was passed away. That was so emotional. I mean, you saw it. I mean, it was the only probably teacher ever spoke to him with any respect.
Did you see the video where he got his golden boot back?
No.
If you have a look on YouTube and search for it, I think it was something he did with classic football shirts. He did he'd done some kind of exhibition with him, and it was basically through his previous divorce. He lost all of his medals. He lost his golden boot. All the hat-trick balls that he had signed, they'd gone. He had no idea where they were, where they were going. Oh, well, I don't know, but I don't know whether it was part of the divorce that she's got rid of them, or I'm not too sure on how they went missing. But essentially, they went missing, and Classic Football Shirts went out of their way to try and find his stuff, and they deliver him. He walks into this room and he's got a big table and it's got all of his signed balls. He's got his golden boot. It's got everything there that he kind of lost. If you get 15-20 minutes, have a look, because it's he gets properly emotional. It's hard not to. It's a really, really special video.
Wow, it sounds great. I mean, he gets emotional most of the time, anyway.
He does. Yeah.
very
he wears
emotional
his heart on
player.
his sleeve, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And I think that's why we all love him, really, because that is exactly what he's like. I mean, Shane's got a good comment in there. He says, if you were to design an Ian Wright statue, which he probably fully deserves one at the stadium, actually, what would it be like? Goal celebrate when breaking the record.
That one where he's doing that. I love that one. He's doing
The
old
one I
salute.
would like is, you know, when he did break the record and he was on his knees. He slid on his knees, didn't he? That one I think I would do if we had to make a statue. What about you, Melvyn? What would you like to see of Wrighty?
I mean, he got it one goal wrong, but the one against, does it Bolton or Bolton when he got the record?
Bolton, yeah.
Oh, the first one when he took his shirt off.
Yeah.
A bit of goal too early, I think, but you know.
Yeah, it was a little bit early. Yeah.
That was actually the first Arsenal game I ever went to. That
was it.
Was it?
Wow.
Yeah, it was the first game I ever went to, and it was a guy that I met once. He worked for Shell, and he knew my mum, and he said he had a spare ticket. And I never met him, but my mum let me go to Highbury. I was only 14, 15, with this guy that she didn't know, and I didn't know him. But let me go on the game with him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we sat in the. I remember it to this day, and we sat in the East stand. I couldn't see a thing, but I just fed off the atmosphere, and that just is one of the main reasons it just got me, that game, that day. It just sucked me in.
Yeah, that was a great day. Fantastic, and obviously the celebrations. Any of those celebrations for that day would probably be a good statue for Ian Wright.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, he should have one as well, I think, because he's an absolute, legend of the club. Obviously he was the record goal scorer for quite a long time until the great Thierry came along and took it off him, which was a bit of a shame. And anything Arsenal says, right, he got to 100 goals in 143 games. The Thierry Henry took 181. So there you go. It just goes to show what a great goal scorer Ian Wright was. And
you see what Shearer did it in, though? Shearer did it in 124 games.
Did he?
Yeah, and it was that I only noticed because they were putting out, because obviously Mo Salah got his 100th Premier League goal the other day.
Yeah.
There was a few people reporting on it. And 124 games Alan Shearer got it in, which is just ridiculous. Insane.
Was that in his whole career, though? Was that from the start of his career, the first 100 goals that he got?
That I don't know, whether it's Premier League or whether it was league goals. I would assume it's just league goals.
But when he first broke through at Southampton, he went about 2 seasons without scoring. And then
the first game though, didn't he?
And then he got a hat-trick against us, and then he couldn't stop after that. So it was us that started him off. But yeah, he must have been Premier, because obviously he played in the first game of the Premier League for Blackburn, didn't he? And scored 2 goals. It must have been the first 100 Premier League goals in. Yeah. He'd already played for Southampton.
What a great record, isn't it? What a record.
Oh, yeah, that's phenomenal. That is a phenomenal
The only player that would ever get close to that is, unfortunately, Harry Kane. That's if he stays in the league, he'd be the only one that will get anywhere near that.
Well, I mean, at the moment, but there could be players that come in and
of course, yeah, of course,
and get it. But yeah, at the moment, he looks the closest, I suppose. He's still about 100 odd short, isn't he, Harry Kane?
Yeah, he's still a long way off. But I mean, if he's scoring, it's only 4 years, isn't it? If he's scoring 25 goals a season, when you think about it.
Yeah, I suppose so. But let's hope he's not.
I don't want him to get it, by all means.
No, I don't think any of us do. That'd be bad. No.
He still won't have any trophies to go with it. But
he's not won anything else, so maybe he should win something. But he's got a couple of golden boots. That's about it. That's probably what he's ever going to get. But yeah, it wouldn't be very nice if he got the overall record, would it? But anyway,
no.
Let's hope he doesn't. But I mean, I know Ian Wright's maybe dominated that season, and he did. So he's probably right that he dominated the conversation we had about the season as well, because it was like you said, he got 34, 35 goals that season, and hardly anybody else even got double figures. So it just goes to show how important he was. And it was a shame he had to miss that final, because he deserved to play in it. And he did get a medal, I believe. But anyway, he did get given a medal because he had played in all the other games prior to that. So at least he's got. Well, you probably got it back then. If he
got them all back. Yeah,
he got them all back. He probably lost that as well, but he did get a medal for that, even though he didn't play. He didn't play in the final, unfortunately. Well, look, I mean, that was a good look back on a great season, some great memories there. And I suppose now we better come back up to date and look ahead to what's coming up this weekend. So obviously it's Burnley, a team that we've got historically a decent record against, especially away from home. And Aubameyang, of course, who was in that picture there, who's got 8 goals, I think, against Burnley since he's been at Arsenal, plus an own goal as well last season, of course, at the Emirates, which was nice. So what are we thinking about this? I mean, Burnley are struggling. They can't win at home. They haven't won at home since January. So it's all set up for them to beat us, surely, now with a record like that. They've not won at home for ages, and we're playing them. What are you thinking, Melvyn? Are you kind of think are we going to make this a start of a good run of wins? Or obviously Burnley are a difficult team anyway, aren't they? Whoever they play against.
I'm going for a win, gentlemen. I'm going for a 1-0 win, but I think they're going to try and kick us off the park first, aren't they? And I hope our kids or youngsters can stand up for it. I hope that the more experienced players can actually step up and protect the couple of bad players. So I'm talking about people like Saka and all that, who gets no protection at all, because they will definitely target him.
Yeah, no, they will definitely. I mean, that's Burnley anyway, isn't it? That's what they do.
Yeah.
You know, they're good at what they do. They end up surviving in the Premier League every year, but it's never pretty to watch. And although they've got a poor record at home, as I said, this is a sort of team where when we go to a ground where they haven't won at home for ages, that's the game we tend to lose for some reason. I don't know why. It just tends to be historically how it goes for us. I mean, what are you thinking, Dorsey, about Saturday against Burnley? I mean, they're not a great side, are they? They look to be having problems this season. They don't seem to be able to win games. They can't score goals. Surely this is another opportunity for us to get another win, isn't it? Surely it's got to be.
You know what? I'm not looking forward to the weekend because I don't like Burnley to start with. For me, they're a horrible football team. They remind me of Stoke and just those horrible years that we had of going away to Stoke and getting beaten. I don't like Burnley as a team. For me, obviously Melvyn just said it there. They'll try and kick us off the park, and I am worried about the physicality side of it. I mean, it's the two lads up front, Woods and Barnes. I mean, they love getting into a scrap, and I'm just not sure that we've got. I mean, if you're looking at him playing a similar back four to what he played at the weekend, you're looking at the Tomiyasu coming in and playing his second game away at Burnley, getting kicked off the park. I mean, maybe not. I don't know, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. And in terms of a prediction, I'd like to see us go and get a couple of goals, but I'm struggling to see it. I think, as Melvyn said, at best, I think I can see a 1-0 win, but it's not going to be a pretty game to watch, is it?
It very rarely is away at Burnley. I know we've got a decent record there, but a lot of games are finished 1-0, or 1-1 draws and stuff like that. We very rarely score many goals there. They don't either. So it generally is quite a dull game and quite a physical game. And I think Tomiyasu can probably handle the physical side of their play, actually.
Yeah.
He seems quite a big lad, strong. Thomas Partey in midfield, I know he's a little bit fragile. But certainly the physical side of the game isn't going to worry him too much, I suppose. But I agree with what Melvyn said about Saka and Smith Rowe, people like that. Smith Rowe's got a bit of injury issues in his career, and the last thing we want is for him to get snapped by one of them Burnley players who that's just what they're going to try and do. I mean, as Gary says there in the chat, he says watching Burnley versus Everton, which was last night, of course, he says I'm scared for Partey. Richarlison got uprooted and no yellow. Everton retaliate and get a yellow. I can see that happening to Arsenal. Yeah, quite possibly. We know it's going to be a physical game. There's going to be tackles, there's going to be challenges, and there's going to be probably yellow cards in the game, and probably more to us than them, I would imagine. But that's just the nature of the game, isn't it? But it is never pretty at Burnley. But, if we can get the victory, go obviously ahead of the North London derby, go into that game with 2 wins and 2 clean sheets would be good, wouldn't it? And I think it's what we need. And I'm not saying Burnley away is a good game to have, because it never is easy there. As I said, we always tend to struggle to score there. But I don't know, it's a tough game. But I suppose I'd rather be playing someone like Burnley this weekend than, someone like Leicester or, West Ham, or someone that's going to be a lot more of a difficult game, I suppose. I mean, this will be difficult in a physical sense, not necessarily. If we play football, we're allowed to play some football, we'll probably win, because we're going to be a better team and then we've got better players. But we'll see. It just worries me that I haven't won at home for, I think it's 10, 11 games in the Premier League or something since January. That worries me ahead of the game. In fact, they've lost every single home game they've played since we drew 1-1 with them. last March. That's the last point they got at home. They've lost every game since then, and they're playing us again. So, no doubt they'll get something because that tends to be what happens anyway. But we'll see.
Yeah.
And Shane says there, I'm going mad. We have no Europe to look forward to this week. Yeah, I must admit, it's starting to kick in now, isn't it? When you see the Champions League on and no, we're not playing. He said, but at least if we did play on Thursday, I think Burnley would have beat us. But I do think we'll have a bigger chance of winning. Yeah, I think we played them away last year just after a Europa League game, didn't we? On the Thursday, we played them on the Sunday and we ended up drawing 1-1. We run out of steam a bit in that game. So, yeah, it might help us that we're not playing in Europe this week. We can get out of Burnley a bit fresher and hopefully that might help us on the day. We'll have to see. But it's going to be a tough game physically. But I'm confident we've got enough quality to beat them. If we can stand up to them physically, and I think defensively now with Gabriel, with Ben White, Tomiyasu, Tierney's not frightened of getting stuck in. And I think defensively, if Ramsdale plays, I'm sure he'll be fine. So I think defensively, we've got enough to cope with them. Let's just hope they don't cause us too many injuries because that's a problem. Right, what we need to do is as well, we need to always finish as we do with our little weekly prediction league, which is always good fun. So it was exciting last week, actually.
I haven't done this before.
It was a good week last week. So last week's totals were Adam got 6 points, and that puts him on 24 for the week for total. I got 6 points as well, and that puts me on to 26. But Melvyn, an absolute stormer. He got 9 points last week, which is the best.
Oh yes, get me every.
The highest individual score that anybody's got so far. 9 points. They've put him on to 28. So Melvyn's gone 2 points clear at the top after 4 rounds. So that was a great week for Melvyn. He got the correct score in the Chelsea-Aston Villa game, in the Watford-Wolves game, and he got the correct result in Everton-Burnley, what other one? Man United-Newcastle, Leicester-Man City, Brentford-Brighton. He was the only one to get a point there, and obviously Arsenal-Norwich. We all got a point there for predicting Arsenal win. So, yeah, great week for Melvyn. 9 points is a pretty good total, actually, for anybody to get in 1 week. So he set the standard now for everybody else for this week. Adam sent me his predictions, obviously, because he can't be with us tonight. So he sent me his predictions already. So we've got his in. I've put mine in already as well. I did mine this afternoon, but we'll go through them. The first game is Friday night. It's Newcastle at home to Leeds. 2 teams that are struggling at the minute, actually. Neither of them have won a game yet, I don't think. What are you thinking, Melvyn? Newcastle at home to Leeds on Friday?
I think because of the crowd, they might get out their own team and the manager. I'm going for a Leeds 2-0 win.
Oh, a 2-0 to Leeds. 2-0 to Leeds, okay. Dorsey, what are you thinking, Newcastle Leeds?
I missed this in your chat earlier, so I'm just looking at the fixtures now, actually, to try and get a bit of a head start. 1-0 Leeds.
Well, you're going 1-0 Leeds, okay. 2 Leeds victories. Well, I've gone 2-1 Newcastle. I just think Newcastle at home, Leeds are struggling. I think Newcastle might edge it. And funny enough, Adam said 2-1 to Newcastle as well. So we've got 2 Newcastle wins and 2 Leeds wins there. So that's split right down the middle, that one. Right, moving on to Saturday's games then. Let's start with Wolves against Brentford. Obviously, Brentford just lost their unbeaten run and Wolves got their first win, actually. So contrasting results last weekend. Wolves at home to Brentford. Melvyn, what are you thinking?
I'm going for momentum here. I'm going for Wolves to win 2-0.
Wolves to win 2-0, okay. What do you think, Dorsey, then? Wolves against Brentford?
2-1 Wolves.
2-1 Wolves, okay. I've gone with a 1-1 draw. I think Brentford are quite difficult to beat. They only lost in the last minute last week. Wolves don't really score that many goals. And Adam actually went for a 1-0 victory to Wolves. So 3 Wolves wins. I'm the only one that's gone against it. So I could pick up some points there maybe against you guys if that's the case. Obviously we've done the Burnley one. You said 1-0, didn't you, Melvyn, to Arsenal?
Yeah, 1-0. 1-0.
What about you, Dorsey? What are you going for Arsenal? Was that 1-0 as well?
Yeah. I'm going to stick with 1-0 as well.
Yeah, Adam went 1-0 as well. There's a theme here. I thought I'd be different. I've gone 2-1 to Arsenal. I do think we'll win, and Burnley will probably score from some set piece. Now, another game that I think could be quite interesting. Liverpool at home to Crystal Palace. Obviously, Patrick Vieira's got them on a run. They're unbeaten in 3 games, Palace. And Liverpool haven't lost at all yet at Anfield. Always difficult with crowd. What are you thinking, Melvyn? Liverpool, Crystal Palace?
Liverpool are very good. Whatever run Palace are on, 3-0 Liverpool.
3-0, wow, okay. Comfortable Liverpool victory. What are you thinking, Dorsey?
Going to go 2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. Okay. And me and Adam actually, fair enough, have gone the same. We've both gone 2-1 to Liverpool. Just feel Crystal Palace are playing well at the minute, and I think they'll be difficult to beat, but ultimately I think Liverpool will win. Now a game that I think probably everybody's going to go with the same result here. Manchester City at home to Southampton. Man City have won their last 3 home games by 5-0. Are they going to win 5-0 again, Melvyn, do you think, or not?
No, 3-1.
3-1, okay. Melvyn's going 3-1 to Man City. What are you thinking, Dorsey? Man City, Southampton?
Southampton have been on a really bad run of form for quite a while, haven't they? So I'm going to go 4-0 Man City.
4-0 to Man City, okay. I've gone 3-0 to Man City, and Adam's gone 2-0 to Man City. So a full house of Man City victories, unsurprisingly, there at home to Southampton. I'm pretty sure that's going to be one of the more predictable games. But one that probably isn't so predictable is the next one, which is Norwich at home to Watford. I actually think, 2 teams that's, just came up together. They may well go back down together as well. What are we thinking for that, Melvyn? I thought Norwich played quite well against us, but what are you thinking at home to Watford?
I'm going for a 2-1 Watford win.
Oh, a 2-1 Watford.
Burn up for the book. I'm going against the grain, as they say.
No, that's, this is a tight one to call it, I think. What are you thinking, Dorsey? It does seem could go either way, this, I think.
1-1.
1-1, yeah, okay. Adam's gone 1-0 to Norwich, their first victory, he thinks, and I went 1-1 as well. I think either 1-1 or 0-0, 2 teams that don't score many goals. But I'm going to go with 1-1 as well in that one. Another game that could be quite interesting, difficult one to call. Aston Villa at home to Everton. I think this could be a good game, actually. What are you thinking, Melvyn, for that one?
Away win for Everton, 2-1.
2-1 to Everton. They're certainly in good form, aren't they, at the minute? So that wouldn't be a surprise. And Aston Villa are struggling a little bit. What are you thinking, Dorsey? Villa against Everton?
Fancy a few goals in this, We go for a Desmond 2-2.
A 2-2. Funny enough, that's what Adam said as well. Adam's gone for a 2-2 in that one. I think we all think there's going to be goals. I've gone 3-1 to Everton. I don't know if Martinez is able to play, is he? Because I know he's been in quarantine and stuff. Is he allowed to play now? Because if he's
he's probably still talking about Arsenal.
Well, he probably is, yeah. So I've gone 3-1 to Everton in that one. Another game that could be quite interesting. Brighton at home to Leicester. I mean, Brighton are flying at the minute. And Leicester have been a bit up and down, a bit hit and miss. What are you thinking, Melvyn? Brighton at home to Leicester?
I'm going for a 1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw. Okay, yeah, that's not a bad shout, that, actually. What are you thinking, Dorsey? Brighton, Leicester?
I'm going to go 1-0 Leicester.
1-0 Leicester. Not many goals predicted in this one. Adam went for a 1-1 as well. And I've actually gone 1-0 to Brighton. So we've got 2 1-1 draws, a 1-0 to Brighton and a 1-0 to Leicester. So that one's...
You want to be 0-0 now?
It probably will be, yeah. I mean, it always looks like a tight game, that one. I just think Brighton are playing well, and I think at home they might just shade it. Another game that potentially could be exciting to watch, West Ham at home to Man United. Obviously, Man United just come off at defeat tonight in the Champions League against Young Boys.
They were 1-0 up, weren't they?
Yeah, they lost 2-1,
yeah.
And what's his name? Wan-Bissaka got sent off as well. So, how they're going to recover from that? So, what are you thinking, Melvyn? West Ham at home to Manchester United.
2-2.
2-2. Okay, 2-2. What are you thinking, Dorsey?
Antonio's out, isn't he? He got sent off.
Yeah,
so
he'll be out. Yeah.
I struggle to see where their goals come from without him. So. I'm going to go 2-0 United. Man United.
2-0 Man United, okay. So they still would be unbeaten away from home for about 2 years. They still lose away from home today. Funny enough, it is, yeah. I mean, they've beaten our record, didn't they, in their last away game against Wolves when they won. They do seem to snatch results away from home, don't they, somehow? They'll always seem to find a goal from somewhere. I mean, Adam went for 2-2 as well, as did Melvyn. And funnily enough, I'd gone for 2-2 as well. But I remembered that Antonio was missing, and I kind of assumed he'd be playing. So I'm not quite sure if West Ham will score 2 now. But I'm going to stick with what I said, and I'm still going to stick with 2-2 for that one. And then we've got an interesting game, the last game of the weekend, Spurs at home to Chelsea. Obviously, we want them both to lose, but they can't, unfortunately. So what are we thinking, Melvyn? Spurs at home to Chelsea?
I think it'd be similar to our game, 2-0 to Chelsea.
2-0 to Chelsea. They are certainly playing well. look a very good team at the minute. Dorsey, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I can't see anything other than a Chelsea win. 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Adam, well, fair enough. Adam went 2-0, the same as Melvyn, and I went 2-1, the same as Dorsey. So we've got similar results here. So they're the games for this weekend, then. So we'll see how we get on with those predictions. I think there's quite a lot of tight games there that could potentially go either way, apart from the Man City one, which is, and possibly Liverpool at home to Crystal Palace. You'd imagine those two will be home wins, but pretty much all the other games, they could go either way, couldn't they? Pretty much all of them. So there's going to be some interesting results this week, I'm sure. So we'll see how we get on. We've got Neil in the chat there. He says, hey, you're still on? Yeah, we are still on. Yeah. And he says he's caught us. Yeah, we're still here for the time being. And he says, hope you're all well. Yeah, we're very well. And he says, hopefully 0-0 with 4 red cards each. I'm assuming that's the Chelsea Spurs game. But yeah, that would be quite nice, wouldn't it?
I'll say that.
I mean, obviously, the more injuries and red cards that Spurs get, the better it is ahead of the North London derby the week after, I guess, especially to certain players that we don't want playing. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that game. But another defeat for Spurs would be good going into the game on 2 defeats, wouldn't it? Plus, of course, they've got their crappy European competition this week as well, haven't they? So they might, another defeat there would be nice, wouldn't it? So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, so I'll say some good games there actually this week. Quite interesting fixtures have come up for a change. Difficult games to call. So we'll see who gets some points there for next week. But Melvin's winning at the minute by 2 points. So can he keep his place at the top of the league this week with some of his strange predictions that he's put in there? So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting to see. And I'll see how Dorsey gets on his first week doing this as well. Because
I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't realise you did this. I hadn't seen it.
We just started doing it obviously at the start of the season. So we've been doing it all the way through. So we'll keep doing them through the season and see how we get on. And Melvin's out front to be caught now, so we'll have to do better than we have been. And Russ is in the chat as well. He says, "Good evening, chaps. How you doing, Russ? Hope you're well, mate. Good to see you again." So yeah, that's pretty much it then. So I mean, we had a good week for Arsenal, a victory finally, a goal in the Premier League, and looking ahead to hopefully another win. We're all predicting a win at the weekend, even though we're not expecting a very exciting game probably, but you never know. So yeah, it's been a little bit less stressful this week, hasn't it, for us as Arsenal fans? We haven't had to go through like what we've done the previous few weeks, and trying to get defeats off our chest and stuff like that. It's been a bit calmer, and it's been a little bit easier to cope this week. So let's hope for more of this, because it's a bit more fun than all the stress of going through what we've gone through so far this season. So let's hope this is the start of a good run, and I'm sure it will be, because we've got the players potentially to be winning a lot of games, haven't we? Let's be honest, when everyone's fit. So let's just hope that we can. And Neil says there, I was so close with my prediction. What prediction of the Arsenal game? You'll have to remind me what it was now. I can find it somewhere. But I think we all said Arsenal would win, didn't we? So that was it. He said 10-0, didn't he? That was it. He said 10-0. He also said 10-0 to Arsenal. Yeah, that was it. He was quite close. He's only 9 goals out. That's not bad, actually. That was a pretty good. He said he was going to turn around our goal difference. That was right, wasn't it? To get us to be +1. But I think it might take us a few weeks longer. And
after the first 3 games, I think we were struggling to score 10 all season.
Exactly. Yeah. 10-0 anyway. He did say 10-0 last week, and unfortunately it wasn't 10-0. But we'll take the 1-0 for now and move on. And hopefully another 1-0 this week wouldn't be bad, would it? And we may be going back to 1994 when we won 1-0 every week. With a few more of them 1-0s would be good. So yeah, I mean it's been a pleasure as always. Melvyn, where can people find you on social media?
Melvyn, the only way is Arsenal. Mark's on Twitter. That's right. I look at Facebook, but I'm not on it a lot. I just watch. I don't do a lot on that. It's mainly Twitter.
I mean, Twitter's probably a bit more fun, isn't it? I think most of the time. It can be a bit of a minefield sometimes, as well, as we know. We've all had a few issues on there, but I guess it is what it is, isn't it? And Dorsey, obviously a pleasure to have you back on again. Hopefully you can become a regular again. Now you've got your life sorted out at your end, all your issues that you had to sort out, which is good. Well, where can people find you as well?
I wouldn't go as far as to say I got my life sorted out. I've moved house and I'm a bit more settled, but still a lot more left to sort out. But looking forward to getting on being a bit more regular again. But thanks again for having me on. But yeah, just head over to my Twitter page. You can see my handle there. Drop me a follow and come and say hello.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm sure people will. And just before we close, make sure if you haven't done so, please give this a like as well if you've enjoyed the show, and subscribe. I'm very, very close actually at 600 subscribers now. I was before we started, about 4 or 5 away. So it'd be nice to get there before the Burnley game if we can. And see, there's going to be, I'm hoping to get one of our Burnley mates from last season to come on at some point later in the week to preview the game. It's just a matter of trying to arrange a time. I've not got a lot of space until Friday probably, so I might see if they can do Friday. I might see if we can get something organised for that, a little preview of the Burnley game with them guys. They're good fun and a good bunch of guys as well. So it's a shame they support Burnley, but anyway, there you go. We can't all have it always, can we? But hopefully we can get them on at some point this week. So look ahead to that game, and then I'll be doing a watch along again, of course, on Saturday of the game. However bad the game is, however boring it is to watch, well, I'll still do a watch along and it will still be fun. So please tune in for that. And also as well, we won't be doing the women's show this week because there's no WSL games this weekend because it's internationals. So England women are actually playing on Friday. So that's why we're not doing the show as normal there. But that'll be back next week because Arsenal play Man City. It's a busy day next Sunday because you've got the North London derby at 4:30. And then at 7:45 in the evening is the Arsenal women play against Man City. So it's one game after the other. So it's going to be a busy night. 7:45, sorry. Arsenal at 4:30, the women at 7:45. So it's going to be a busy night on Sunday for me next week. But anyway, it's all good fun. And hopefully there'll be some good wins for Arsenal, which is what we want to see. The more wins, the better is what we like to see. And Majanda there in the chat says, see you, come on you Gunners. Yeah, indeed, come on you Gunners. And Neil there says, look forward to your next stream. Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you again, Neil. You have to come on. I know we keep trying to get you on and it's never quite a good time for you, is it, ever for you? But I'm sure we'll get it sorted out with you soon and we can get you on the show. It'd be great to get you on and have a chat as well. I know we briefly spoke last week, didn't we, on Ryan's 24-hour stream that we did. I know you was on there, which was good. And Neil says there, Rich, you are the best Arsenal podcast. Well, I don't know about the best one. There's a lot of good stuff out there, but I'm pleased that you enjoy it and I appreciate your comments as well. So, yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for you guys in the chat as well. Obviously, Neil at the end, Shane was in everything Arsenal. Gary as well, DWTT, he's got a good channel as well. Rajandra's been in a lot recently as well. He likes the women's stuff as well. So thanks to you for watching. Fred was in earlier. Loads of people in the chat, actually. It's been pretty good. Been a good show. Obviously, thanks to you guys as well. I say I'll be back hopefully later on this week with I'll have a Burnley preview out anyway, and then hopefully we'll get the Burnley guys on as well. We'll have to see if I can arrange that with them, and we will get that sorted as well. And so thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Please give it a like before you go and subscribe. And in the meantime, as always, thanks to you guys. Thanks to Melvyn as always, and of course Ozzy. Good to have him back with his nice. Retro shirt on as well, which we love to see. And that's a very nice retro. Burkham.
Oh, yes, quality.
Great shirt. That wasn't such a great season for Arsenal when we wore that shirt, but
it wasn't. No. I had it, but only in kids. I was only 12 when it came out, so I had a small one. But I got this one through. I bought it off a guy in Australia, so I waited nearly 3 weeks for it to turn up. But it was worth the wait.
No, it is. Yeah, I've got that one somewhere. I've got that one in a drawer somewhere, I think, which is a good shirt. It's just a shame it wasn't. Wasn't that the one after the bruised banana? It was around about that time, just after, wasn't it?
It was 95, 96, I think. This one.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But anyway, it's a great shirt, and so it's funny, isn't it? You look at a shirt and it takes you back to memories of that season, and even if the season was terrible. You look at the shirt, I think actually it doesn't matter that the season was terrible because we had a great shirt and it's cool. I just remember a few bad away defeats wearing that kit actually.
Yeah.
Through that season, which wasn't great. But anyway, we'll forgive them because it is a nice kit. And yeah, it does look cool. So yeah, obviously we got Doris in his nice retro kit, which we love to see. So yeah, so thanks to you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. Speak to you very, very soon. Stay tuned for the next one. And of course, in the meantime, as always, come on, you Gunners. Come on. First win, now we're doing it. We're climbing that table out of the bottom 3. As I said on Saturday, we are staying up, and we are. Let's go.